Today I'd like to show you a method for creating offset floors with patterns that you can place furniture on top of, and the two will not interact. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at this shapeboard that I've created. You'll notice that the top appears to be a different color from the bottom of the piece, and that's because they are two separate pieces. This is based on Mythesk's flat voxel tape, and we'll go ahead and create a piece first. This piece on the bottom left, since that is the basis for our floor and all of the other shapes. So what you're going to need to begin is an offset quarter voxel. I won't go into creation here, but you can view Schrodinger Cat's video on how to make that. So if I take this and place it anywhere I then want to move out one and one side to any direction and mirror so that it's furthest away, and back to the other side and mirror again so that we get the furthest away points, and go to the other side, mirror again. We're just making sure that this offset voxel is as far away as it can and will still stretch the shape. Now this leaves us with a square panel that's half a voxel in width and greater than a voxel in size, so it's a megavoxel panel. If we take that shape, mirror it on the green axis, and paste it. The next step is to place our selection box on it and raise it up one space. We're going to hit that once with the smooth tool to create the basic block that's about the same size as a normal voxel. Now select this, copy it, line it up, and bring it down one, and paste again. This stretches the shape down. We get this block. We want to copy this offset block, and we'll paste it out here. I'm going to mirror it on the green axis, bring it down once, and paste again. It doesn't look like anything really interesting happened there, but if we take a color, let's use the gold since it will stand out, and see how my selection box has something on the bottom and something on the top. If we paint the top, we can see that we've created a side to this block that is a different color, and that's because they're two separate voxels. One is just really flat and thin. I can paste that out here so you can see just how thin that is. I'll bring it up a little bit so you can look at it from the side. Get my head out of the way, and you can see it all but disappears when you get up close to it. Okay, so now we have the tape and the offset piece. The offset piece on the bottom is what we're interested in for this method. And since this piece is about the same size and shape as a normal voxel, we can build with it. And this is going to be our basic building block for our floor, which I've created here, an example, and I've given it a checkerboard pattern so that you can see what happens when we paste any of these shapes into it. Now the shapes that I've created on the board here, to the right of the primary building block, we have some smaller versions that were just done by increasing the number of smooths, and some other shapes that were created by changing the position of the selection box before applying the smooth. I won't go into each of those. These are fairly useful in and of themselves, but they can also be combined in the basic board to create new shapes. For instance, this piece here that I've just painted gold, I applied a small string to the end of it and turned it into a triangle here. And you can see this piece, when rotated, gives us a nice little propeller shaped pattern. And we can do some interesting lines with triangles in the end. And you know, as you can see here, once you start messing around with these shapes, there's an infinite combination that can be achieved by playing with these. Now, the interesting part about this is once you've created your pattern, as you can see, I've placed a block on top of this floor that's not messing up the pattern that we've created. And the way that I achieved this is by taking one of these shapes, any of them really, as long as we take the bottom piece, because the top piece is the tape and we're not using that in this method. If I take this bottom piece, copy it, and I mirror it on the green axis, and lift it up one, I can paste this anywhere I want in my pattern and it doesn't disrupt it. And that's because there is a thin gap between these two pieces where I've mirrored them. So we have the bottom piece that's offset in this direction and the top piece that's offset in this direction. And the two don't meet because the gap between them is only as wide as this tape, which you can see here is very thin. In fact, it disappears if you look at it from the right angle. So what I've done here is I created a chair entirely out of these offset shapes. I used this second piece down here because it's about the right size, same as a micro voxel string that you might use to create furniture. And it's just a simple little chair to demonstrate. And I've also taken this curio cabinet that I created in alpha entirely out of micro voxels, and I've replaced the legs on it with the offset shapes. The important thing to remember here is where you're going to connect the offset shapes. If you want there to be a gap, you have to mirror on the green axis before pasting. If you don't, you can see here what happens when I paste. It distorts the pattern like we're used to seeing with micro voxel strings and anti-voxel strings. So mirroring on the green axis is the key to this technique.